Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time.
I am here to present to you a new way to see yourself, to share with you the knowledge that has helped me to elevate my consciousness as well as improve my overall health and happiness. Knowledge is power, and when you learn how the brain itself works, functions, and responds, it allows you to take a greater level of control over your life and your future. I am passing on the work of two great men, among others, being Dr. Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson. Authors such as Antero Ali and others have also written on the subject, and will be touched upon as well. But to be clear, Dr. Timothy Francis Leary is the godfather of this theory, if you will. I will be presenting to you all the details to prove this theory is fact.
I bring to you now a look into your own mind, a rare perspective of the great mystery that is the human brain.
Have you ever wondered what really makes you who you are? Or why you do the things you do when sometimes you don't mean to do them at all? We as human beings have mastered the evolutionary process through the natural creation of consciousness. We have learned to adapt to almost any situation that is presented to us, and we owe all of this to our amazing brains. Our brains help us accomplish the unthinkable, and most of this is done without us even realizing it. We would like to think that we ourselves are in control of our thoughts and actions, but the truth is that we have less control over our lives than we are led to believe. This is where the 8-circuit model of human consciousness comes into play. Also known as the eightfold model of human intelligence, Dr. Timothy Leary suggested that our brains are made up of 8 mini-brains, or circuits. Each of these 8 circuits are designed to allow us to automatically adapt to different aspects of reality. Development of specific circuits more than others are found to be determining factors in our behavior and our decision-making. Detailed study and understanding of the brain allows us to now focus our attention on specific activities and stimuli in order to guide our consciousness, and possibly others, through this 8-circuit maze to find inner peace and happiness. Dr. Leary proposed the 8-circuit model in an attempt to unify various interpretations of altered states of awareness into a single theory. In this case, Leary and Wilson state that the altered levels of consciousness defined in medical fields are products of 8 differing brain structures within the human nervous system. This concept not only connects psychology and the more medically focused studies of neurology and biology, but also incorporates elements of sociology, anthropology, physics, chemistry, and advanced mathematical formulas. Furthermore, there are obvious correlations with the astrological zodiac, the 8-octave piano layout, and the Hindu chakra system, as well as models from other spiritual belief systems. Now let's take a look at the 8-circuit model in a bit more detail. The 8 circuits are really just evolutionary stages of consciousness which human beings develop throughout their lives. Once developed, each neurocircuit remains as a functioning mini-brain that transceives, integrates, and transmits experiences on several levels at the same time. We all have some circuits that are more developed than others, and this only adds to our individuality. The first four circuits reside in the left side of the brain and are described as the terrestrial circuits, which respond roughly to the infant, toddler, child, adult levels. The first circuit is imprinted at infancy with patterns on the biosurvival level. Our experiences at this time shape our entire approach toward life, and parental nourishing is critical at this stage in determining our fundamental inner security. This level emulates marine evolution, from passive invertebrates to fish to amphibians. Opiates produce states of awareness which tune in to this circuit's level of interpretation. The second neurocircuit is the emotional territorial circuit, which is imprinted during toddlerhood, when the child begins moving around and negotiating emotional power over others. If the first circuit is the advance and retreat of infantile love and fear, then the second circuit adds the dimension of up and down, high and low feelings and relations among people. Depressants such as alcohol can recreate aspects of this level of interpretation for us, which captures the mammalian evolutionary progress on land from rodents to primates to hominids. Third is the mental dexterity circuit, which is imprinted in childhood during the acquisition of skills in language. The third circuit recreates Paleolithic, Neolithic, and post-chiefdom civilization and can be amplified through stimulating experiences and drugs such as cocaine and caffeine. The dimension added here is left versus right, or right versus wrong, and is an intellectual skill set for logical problem solving. The fourth circuit kicks in with the production of sexual hormones and concerns the orientation towards sociosexual roles. It recapitulates the evolution of feudalism, democracy, and centralization, and marks the completion of the cycle of domestication for Homo sapiens. This is the moral skill set of sex role integration. The ideas of the first four circuits is that these are the levels upon which the game is played for human beings on Earth, but that as human civilization progresses, we will begin to tap into the four post-terrestrial right brain circuits in anticipation of leaving the womb planet. The fifth circuit is the sensory somatic circuit and is associated with cannabis, tantric yoga, and hedonistic sensations which push the boundaries of the local sociosexual circuit. Sensual and exotic, this circuit is designed to be used in zero gravity. This stage is about reprogramming previous mistrust or constraints to adopt a looser, more adaptive perspective. Sixth is the neuroelectric circuit, which is associated with telepathy, ESP, meditation, and MDMA ecstasy, expanding our sensitivity to embrace the paradises and purgatories within the nervous system. This circuit is about intelligence looking at intelligence with the third eye psychic aperture wide open. It's about recognizing the synchronicity of all phenomena, interior and exterior. The seventh circuit is the neurogenetic circuit, associated with LSD and other psychedelics, life extension, immortality, and communication and symbiosis with other species. This circuit deals with the decoding and mastering of DNA, RNA to transcend biological limitations. As the sixth neurage circuit uses intelligence to improve intelligence, the seventh circuit uses even deeper biological intelligence to transform life itself. The eighth circuit is known as the neuroatomic circuit, associated with near-death experiences and drugs such as salvia divinorum and DMT. The goal of this neurocircuit is nothing less than fusion with galactic and quantum consciousness. Dr. Leary wrote, "We expect that humanity will be instructed in the reception of nuclear signals by higher intelligences after leaving the planet. Such speculations may seem far out, but they are surely no less believable than the Orthodox Christian, Muslim, Judaic, Hindu, Buddhist cosmologies, and they are certainly more credible than the blind chance statistical theories of material scientists." Now let me take a moment to touch on imprinting. Imprinting is a term used in psychology to describe any sort of phase-sensitive learning that is rapid and apparently independent of behavior. It was first used to describe situations in which an animal or person learns the characteristics of some stimulus, which is therefore said to be imprinted onto the subject. The best known form of imprinting is filial imprinting, in which a young animal acquires several of the behavioral characteristics from its parent. It is most obvious in land-based birds, which imprint on their parents and then follow them around. Dr. Leary advocated the idea of re-imprinting in his 8 Circuits primer Exopsychology, later renamed Infopsychology. Re-imprinting is the notion of breaking through the previously imprinted circuit states, which can occur through many processes, including psychedelic experiences. During a re-imprinting session, there is an opening again, as in infancy and early childhood, where a person can perceive the moving essence of reality outside our snapshot of imprinted mindset. Even a life-altering event such as the death of a loved one can often shock one into a re-imprinting period, thus changing their views and mental states forever. When someone re-imprints their circuits with new perspectives of reality, previous psychological damage can be reversed, thus allowing one to re-enter into society happier and with much broader perceptive capabilities. Indeed, an entire new outlook on life can be achieved through these powerful mind-bending experiences. The two-sided brain physiology model is one that is most widely accepted among the scientific community. That being the notion that the left side of our brain is the side that most controls our bodily functions and is responsible for analytic thought, logic, language, science, and mathematical skills. The right side of the brain being the more creative and artistic side, responsible for holistic thinking and intuition. The 8-circuit mini-brain model continues this division of brain function into further subsections, which allows for all sorts of advancements in medicine and science, but also in our personal lives as well. Seen here is a generalized picture of this breakdown, but instead of back to front, it's believed that the brain functions advance from bottom to top, starting at the brain stem and topping off with the neocortex. To grasp the level of consciousness and understanding that exists on each circuit, one only needs to start with infancy and then multiply exponentially with each additional stage. This simple diagram attempts to convey the mentality and perhaps maturity that is experienced in any given stage. It is widely accepted that we are just now breaching into Circuit 5 as a species here on Earth at this time. Recent advances in marijuana law reforms here in the U.S. and abroad would also support such claims. Reading from its Wikipedia page, the term reality tunnel was also coined by Dr. Leary and popularized by Wilson. Akin to the idea of representative realism, the theory states that with a subconscious set of mental filters formed from their beliefs and experiences, every individual interprets the same world differently, hence truth is in the eye of the beholder. The idea does not necessarily imply that there is no objective truth, rather that our access to it is mediated through our senses, experiences, conditioning, prior beliefs, and other non-objective factors. The implied individual world each person occupies is said to be their reality tunnel. The term can also apply to groups of people united by beliefs or cultures. We can speak of the fundamentalist Christian reality tunnel, or the Japanese reality tunnel. A parallel can be seen in the psychological concept known as confirmation bias, the human tendency to notice and assign significance to observations that confirm existing beliefs, while filtering out or rationalizing away observations that do not fit with prior beliefs and expectations. This helps to explain why reality tunnels are usually transparent to their inhabitants. While it seems most people take their beliefs to correspond to the one true objective reality, Robert Anton Wilson emphasizes that each person's reality tunnel is their own artistic creation, whether they realize it or not.
The possibility of changing consciousness was discovered in the Orient 2,500 years ago at least. Probably it's older than that. But techniques were discovered to quiet the mind, pacify the mind, remove emotional compulsions, and these were organized into the science of yoga. As John Lilly says, yoga is the science of the East, as science is the yoga of the West. Science is a yoga too. Science is a way of trying to reach an objective level in which your emotional compulsions and prejudices aren't twisting all the facts to fit in with your favorite reality tunnel. Once you get to the level where you're outside your reality tunnel looking down at it, you can compare reality tunnels, and then you're on a higher level of intelligence already, because you're no longer a conditioned mechanism just following the reality tunnel that was accidentally imprinted or conditioned, and you can start choosing between reality tunnels.
I'd now like to take a few minutes to discuss the people behind this grand theory of consciousness. Dr. Timothy Francis Leary was born on October 22, 1920, and died on May 31, 1996, at the age of 75. He was an American psychologist, writer, and known for his advocacy of psychedelic drugs. During a time when drugs such as LSD and psilocybin were legal, Leary conducted experiments at Harvard University under the Harvard Psilocybin Project, resulting in the Concord Prison Experiment and the Marsh Chapel Experiment. Both studies produced useful data, but Leary and his associate Richard Alpert were fired from the university. Leary believed that LSD showed therapeutic potential for use in psychiatry. He popularized catchphrases that promoted his philosophy, such as turn on, tune in, drop out, set and setting, and think for yourself and question authority. He also wrote and spoke frequently about transhumanist concepts involving space migration, intelligence increase, and life extension, SMILE for short, and he developed the 8-circuit model of human consciousness in his book Exopsychology. During the 60s and 70s, Leary was arrested regularly and was held captive in 29 different prisons throughout the world. President Richard Nixon once described Leary as the most dangerous man in America.
Well, I guess we probably should, for people who are not of a certain age who don't remember, give a little biography of Timothy Leary. But for those who don't know, he was a professor at Harvard, and in the 60s he became a cultural icon by championing LSD. And after that, he was arrested and hounded by the government, spent time in jail. Mm-hmm. In fact,
Well, technically, he went to prison for possession of 1 joint of marijuana.
Right.
For which he got 37 years.
He and Candy Bar, right?
A very strange penalty, considering that it was 6 months usually in those days. The judge on sentencing him said his ideas were a danger to society, which is why the Swiss government gave him asylum as a political fugitive after he climbed over the walls. You look at the CIA research before Leary's, and they had people going paranoid, jumping out of windows, committing suicide. This is how Leary developed the theory that the effect of LSD depends upon the set and the setting. Mm-hmm. You give
That's
people
right.
LSD in a proper setting, and you can make very beneficial behavior changes. You give them LSD in a bad setting, and you can get a lunatic out. But Leary was trying to teach people how to use it scientifically. And it's not...
I believe that human intelligence is evolving very quickly, particularly these days. And I think that everyone in this room, in our lifetimes, can go through as many changes and metamorphoses and mutations as the butterflies go from cocoons to caterpillars to beautiful, colored, high-flying creatures.
Robert Anton Wilson was born Robert Edward Wilson on January 18, 1932, and passed away on January 11, 2007, just 1 week shy of his 75th birthday. He was known to his friends as Bob, and was an American author who became at various times a novelist, philosopher, psychologist, essayist, editor, playwright, poet, futurist, civil libertarian, and self-described agnostic mystic. Wilson described his work as an attempt to break down conditioned associations, to look at the world in a new way, with many models recognized as models or maps, and no one model elevated to the truth. His goal being to try to get people into a state of generalized agnosticism, Not agnosticism about God alone, but agnosticism about everything. In 1979, Wilson received a PhD in psychology from Padilla University in California, at an unaccredited institution that has since closed. Wilson reworked his dissertation, and it found publication in 1983 as Prometheus Rising. Among Wilson's 35 books and many other works, perhaps his best-known volumes still remain the cult classic series, the Illuminatus trilogy, co-authored with Robert Shea. Antero Ali was born in Finland on November 11, 1952. Ali currently resides in Berkeley, California, where he conducts workshops and stages theatrical productions, some of which have been released as films. Ali is also a professional astrologer and has authored books on experimental theater, astrology, and Timothy Leary's 8 Circuit model of consciousness. Ali's books span a number of subjects, but all share common themes with his paratheatrical efforts: archetypes, personal mythology, and the use of ritual to transform consciousness. Like his colleague Rob Brensney, Ali proposes a free will approach to astrology, which advocates providing clients with information to make decisions instead of deterministic predictions. Between 1991 and 1995, Ali was editor and publisher of Talking Raven Quarterly, a Seattle-based literary journal featuring the writings of Robert Anton Wilson, among others. In spring and fall of 2006, Ali taught a course on his 1986 book, Angel Tech, at Robert Anton Wilson's Maybe Logic Academy. In 2009, Ali released his most recent related book entitled The 8 Circuit Brain: Navigational Strategies for the Energetic Body.